it is time for Dana White to step aside. There's no way around it. Um, I had a lot of topics I wanted to get to this week, but if you watch any of my other videos, stomach has been doing good this week. But I have to get to these topics. We're gonna talk about Dana White. We're gonna talk about Almeida Delaziz. We're gonna talk about Volk versus Yair apparently going down at UFC 320, and just overall, I'm done with the promotion. I'm done with the lack of promotion. I'm done with Dana White not wanting to be there. Dana White not wanting to promote the UFC. Dana White not wanting to promote MMA and trying to go off to boxing. What we're gonna get into him being taken off of the Canelo fight. So we got a lot to get to. Might as well just start off with this. So I'm pretty sure you guys all saw this. This happened well now over a week ago. Dana White removed from Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford as dramatic changes are announced. Now I watched Guru's video on this. I believe he made this last week. It was a while ago. Um, and I don't want to jump on every point that Guru made, but he made every point you need to make. Why the fuck is the face of UFC, the face of MMA, promoting boxing when MMA is in a terrible spot? Saudi boxing chief Turki Al-Sheikh has confirmed that Dana White will no longer promote Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Crawford. The UFC president had been appointed the lead promoter for the Blockbuster Showdown under the TKO banner. In March, TKO Holdings, the American media conglomerate that owns UFC and WWE, signed a multi-year partnership to establish a boxing league with financial backing of Saudi Arabia. Dude, this whole boxing thing has been around basically as long as Dana White has been running the ship, right? We've all heard it was going to be a zoo for boxing for years, around the time, again, I actually my eye, around the time, the Conor Mayweather fight happened, they were really talking about it. They were talking about changing the boxing landscape, and we're going to get to why they ultimately haven't done that. The deal brought business powerhouse OSU White and WWE President Nick Khan together in a move that promised to change the face of boxing. But they can't, due to the Muhammad Ali Act. Spoiler alert, that is the main reason, and Dana White and Ari Emanuel came out and said that's the main reason they don't do it. If you guys don't know what the Ali Act is, it's basically protecting boxers from corrupt organizations, signing them to, major contracts, major term contracts for less than what they're worth. And then because of that, boxing is what it is now, which you can argue is good in some ways, argue it's bad, but boxers they have a lot of control when it comes to who they fight, how they're getting paid. They're a part of the fight. They're a part of the promotion. Canelo versus Crawford was set to be TKO's boxing maiden event. However, Sheik has confirmed that money spinning super fight will now be promoted by Sella for Rider season instead. In addition, the bout has been moved from September 12th to September 13th, the same day as UFC 320. So you were gonna have Dana White a day before UFC 320 in Guadalajara. You're gonna have him fucking promoting this fight. You're gonna have Dana White on a press tour promoting the competition. Boxing is their competition. They don't fucking have who is left in the MMA business. Don Davis? Don fucking Davis? Is PFL gonna turn around, even though it's looking like they'll be dead before the year ends? The broadcaster was not decided yet, but the date will be Saturday, 13th September. More details soon. Always Sheik had initially announced that the fight would take place at the 65,000 seat Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, home to the NFL side, the Raiders. Um, which, man, I feel bad for Raiders fans. So, the whole side note, if you are a Raiders fan, I genuinely feel bad for you. Like, you guys have drafted some really good players, and we don't need to go all into it. They've had such shit luck lately, and I genuinely feel bad for them as a Leafs fan. But let's continue. However, the state of the art venue is booked up for a college football game between UNLV Rebels and Idaho State on the same day as Canelo and Crawford, according to Ring Magazine. Las Vegas, Los Angeles, and New York City are all reportedly potential host candidates for Canelo and Crawford, which this is a major event. Canelo Alvarez, one of the best boxers to ever do it, one of the biggest names in boxing right now. The event will always be shown will also be shown live on pay-per-view and not on Netflix as previously suggested. Crawford will move on two weight classes for super fight welterweight to super middle or super welterweight to super middleweight to challenge Canelo for the undisputed crown. Canelo unified all four major sanctioning body belts by beating William Skull earlier this month in a well-output affair. Despite the weight disparity, there will be no rehydration clause inserted into the contract. If Crawford gets his hand raised, then he will become the first male three-weight division undisputed champion in the four-belt era after previously reigning supreme over the super lightweight and welterweight division. First of all, there are way too many fucking weight classes in boxing. I know everybody says it. Uh, whatever. But are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? It's only now you realize that this boxing match will interfere with UFC 320, which is the Mexico card. And apparently it's going to be fucking. Go away. It's going to be Volk versus Yair. Well, actually, you know what? Here, since I'm talking about, I'm gonna leave all the way until the very end. That's when the real rant starts to go. But this got announced a few days ago, and fans are rightfully pissed off for Mossad Web at the UFC for this a rematch that nobody wants. After Yair is on a one-fight win streak, he fought a Patricio Piccolo, who we were really excited for him to come in. Looked terrible in that fight. Now he's gonna get a title shot again off of one win. UFC fans are not happy about the promotion, how the promotion is managing the featherweight division. Earlier today, undefeated Russian talent Masai Evloev, a number 4 ranked contender, announced that he will not be receiving the next 145-pound title shot. For some context, the former M1 champion is riding a 9-fight win streak over the likes of Diego Lopez, who just fought for the belt, Aljamain Sterling, who is a former bantamweight champion, and Arnold Allen, who, again, really good fighter, was on a decent run, ran to Max Holloway. I believe Max took away though. I could be wrong. The longest win streak in the division. Any arguments based on merit is going to point out to Evloev as a man most deserving of an opportunity Alexander Volkanovski's new throne, particularly since it's a new matchup. Unfortunately, it really looks like fight politics are coming into play. What fucking politics? Again, like, why is it that like the UFC and Yair Rodriguez, like people say that, oh, you guys remember that reporter who asked Dana White, does Don Jones have pictures of you or something? Does Yair have pictures of like Dana White? Like, what leverage does this guy have to get non-stop title shots and number one contender fights? I do not get it. Um, but yeah. When all other top contenders are booked and rumors have been swelling that Yair Rodriguez is getting a second title shot at the great, well, fans aren't dumb. The immediate conclusion drawn by pretty much every fan and supported by more than one inside source as well is that UFC wants Volkanovski versus Yair 2 as the headliner for UFC 320, the no chair event. Because you need a Mexican. We absolutely need a Mexican. You know, we never have Australians fight in Australia. We never have, well, they had a few Canadians on the Canadian card. But for some reason, Yair Rodriguez is the most important fighter in their mind because they've wanted a Mexican champion ever since Moreno, right? And I get it. Mexico is a big market. Mexico is a big fighting country. You know, all the history behind it. You know, all of these major films for the UFC Noche 306, the greatest event we ever saw, made let's continue. The problem is Pantera doesn't deserve another shot. He was trounced like Volkanovski in the first fight, and he's only won a single bout in the last three tries, getting finished twice in that span. He's an elite featherweight, but clearly overweight is on the better streak, and more objectively deserving of a title shot. So merit won't help himself take it from Guadalajara. That's a short version of the situation as it's developing, and fans aren't happy. Check out samples of the reaction. Um, this is coming from Superfan. If the UFC actually gave Jair Rodriguez a title shot over Mobstar, then this sport might be beyond saving. Absolutely. And then this is Mobstar's tweet. Alexander Volkanovski, thank you, champ, for trying to fight me. I will fight in July, and you fight in September. Hopefully, we both win and we can meet in December. I respect him tremendously for that. I just became a fan off of that one tweet. I've never honestly had a anything but a neutral opinion on Evloev. Evloev is now one of my favorites in the featherweight division. As much as I hate Monster style, I agree. It feels too much like WWE now. Then constantly booking events in specific venues without an actual plan is insane. They obviously hoped Lopez was going to beat Volk, then they booked the 320 venue. Now they have to scramble to make a bullshit fight that doesn't make sense. Why not fucking do Diego Lopez versus Jair Rodriguez? They were hyping it at the fucking press conference. They were going back and forth the entire time. One of the best press conferences we ever got. Yeah, John Silva was there. You know, Bryce Mitchell. That fight took it over. But fuck, man. Like you, it's basically like giving the UFC a pre-made pizza. You have all the cheese, sauce, toppings, and all you have to do is throw it in the oven for 15 minutes. And the UFC is like, you know what? No, no, this this is not what the people want. Um, let's just get rid of the cheese. Why not? Let's have the sauce. We'll throw in the toppings. But yeah, let's just give the customer something new. Why not? The scenes to confirm Volk 2, which is outrageous to me. Getting finished in two of the last three fights gets you a title shot now because they need a main event in Guadalajara. Volk versus Ecuador is a far more interesting fight. It absolutely is. Volk wasn't even competitive. It wasn't. Maybe one round. Volk beats the bags off him, and did so in every dimension. It would be a title shot based solely on the location of the event. Meanwhile, they have a fight with built-in hype, Yair Lopez, that could co-main the event. Thank you. One person made a tweet. I'm pretty sure way more people made this tweet, but thank you. Thank you. You have that fight fucking built. And we're probably not gonna get it. Same way Leon versus Gamepred was built, but we never got that fight. Embarrassing if it happens, truly sport killers. Garbage matchmaking. It was initially a joke when I would write that the UFC matchmakers have a fetish for rematches, but it's like becoming the only explanation at this point. Absolutely. It would be so much more impressive if Volkanovski beat more of the new contenders. Beat Evloev. Fucking John Silva. It would have been an insane push to put John Silva in a title fight right after beating Bryce Mitchell, but it makes more sense than it. Yeah, yeah. Lots of griping about potential Volk versus the Yair fight, but ultimately, Holloway and Taporia are no longer in the division. Volk just beat Diego, and while Mofsar should be next, having a Mexican title challenger for Noche makes sense from a promotional standpoint. Yeah, the only thing that makes sense is that he's a Mexican. That's all you need to do now. So like, you know, if they have another event in Calgary or Edmonton, since I'm from Alberta, can I get a title shot? Hometown? No? Yeah, maybe. Another strange aspect of this weekly matchmaking is there's a really obvious way to get Yair Rodriguez on the no-check card. He has serious bad blood with Diego Lopez, who just came up short opposite Volkanovski. It was the perfect next matchup for both of them, an ideal 5-round co-main event for UFC 320. Now who knows if all of the Mexico grudge match will ever come together. It won't. It won't. It'll be the same way as Gamebred. Gamebred got those 2 shots against Usman, and we never got the Leon fight. Yeah, Gamebred said he was going to come back at the Miami card, but he didn't. I'm fucking done. I'm fucking done. Like, I don't know if it's TKO. I don't know if it's UFC. But what the fuck is this decision making? And to continue on to that, we've got another guy I want to rant about. Originally, I was going to do a whole video on it, but let's see. What am I at for time here? I am at 18 minutes. We're going to go for 30. And then I'll show the petition for the John Tom fight at the end. We'll end it off on a banger here. Ali Abdelaziz won't stand in the way of a potential Islam Makhachev versus Usman fight. Yeah, shocker. Shocker. The guy who was trying to get Gaethje to fight Islam before the UFC ultimately said, no, there's no fucking way you're gonna fight Elia Topuria or you're gonna fight Oliveira. He left, which he has the right to. 4 title defenses. As much as we want to see that fight, Islam is the number 1 pound for pound guy, the greatest lightweight of all time, and a top 3 fighter of all time. Ali Abdelaziz sees big things on the horizon for Kamal Usman if he can rebound against Joaquin Buckley. Former welterweight champion Usman, 20-4 in MMA, 15-3 in the UFC, will look to snap a 3-fight losing skid when he takes on Buckley, 21-6, 11-4 in the UFC, June 14th in the UFC on ESPN 69 headliner in Atlanta. If Usman beats Buckley, Ali Abdelaziz can see him emerging as the next title challenger to face the winner of welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena versus Islam Makhachev. So, guys, when you lose 2 back-to-back title fights and you move up against short notice against Hamza. Did really good in that fight. Yeah, you only need one win. You only need one win. Um, but with all of those, he's managing Wolf, Usman, and Makachev could a potential fight between his clients happen. He's the greatest welterweight of all time. He's Dana White's favorite fighter. Dana loves Kamaru Usman 100%. Like, they have a very unique relationship. Listen, Kamaru is one of the biggest names in the division. Guess what? If Kamaru Usman wins, Islam wins, they want to fight, I'm not going to stay home. I'm going to stay home, sorry. I'm going to be watching from home. You know, I can't see this fight I can see this fight happening too. But listen, Buckley's tough. He's under the run. You know, you have to kind of focus on Buckley first before you think about anything else. Absolutely. So why the fuck are you talking about Islam versus Usman? Usman returns for the first time since a majority loss to the number one middleweight contender Hamzat Chimaev on short notice in October 2023. Despite the long layoff, I believe there was ease ensures that Usman is in peak form. I was in Denver last week. I went and trained with Kamaru. He's an absolute specimen. He's an absolute nightmare. I'm 195 pounds and we always grapple. I did okay with everyone in the gym. Why are you flexing that? Why are you flexing? Oh yeah, I went to the MMA gym and I did fantastic against everybody not named Kamaru Usman. You know, I dominated everybody, but you know the second or third best welterweight of all time. I'm putting Matt Hughes above him. Fight me if you disagree. He's a beast, right? Right, yeah, he is. Now he's focused. He's healthy. I can't ask for more. He's ready. Buckley's going to have a long, long night if he's not ready. A long one like Tyrone Woodley night. I doubt it. Having the perform. Oh, what's this? I don't even fucking get into it. I'm glad Brandon Chang got fired, but we're not talking about this. So, yeah, you have Ollie Abdelaziz that prevented the Tuporia fight. Yeah, I get it. It was mainly Khabib there. But he was pushing for the Gaethje fight to double dip. Now what is he doing now that Islam is going out for the welterweight belt? He wants to double dip with Usman. Which again, that is his job as the manager to get them the biggest fight, to get them the most money. But it's fucking annoying. And you know, with welterweight being as stacked, probably the most stacked division we've had since, 205 when you had Jones, DC, Gustafson, Rumble, everybody up there. Enough is a fucking enough. Dana White doesn't want to be here, doesn't want to promote fights, doesn't want to be at the press conferences. Let him take a step back. Let him go over to boxing. Give us somebody who will fucking promote these fights. Give us somebody who wants to announce that we have to play versus Charles Oliver. Who wants to announce Hamza versus DDP. You know, who going in when he comes out into the press conferences yells at the top of his lungs for these fighters. Goes to bat for these fighters. You know who used to do that? Dana White. But he hasn't done it for years. A year and a half now. Pay per viewers are way down. The overall viewership of the sport is way down. The videos that get the most views are videos like this, whereas people absolutely shitting on the UFC. But I don't know what else to do. And I'm gonna leave you with one last thing. This is a petition. I forgot the name of buddy who made this, but this was made on May 14th, only a few days ago. and it already has 32. Let's refresh it actually. 33,570 signatures. Heavyweight's fucking dead. Nobody cares about heavyweight. Nothing is going on in heavyweight. But we have so many interesting fighters coming up in that division. I don't know what John has over the UFC. They need to either say, "Hey, he's fighting at MSG," or "No, he's not fighting. Tom is your undisputed champion." One or the other. But it's time. It's time for Dana White to step down. I don't know. Maybe Hunter becomes the promoter. Maybe somebody else. But Dana White doesn't want to be here. Let him go off to boxing. Let him promote whatever boxing events. Maybe even start TKO boxing officially. But enough is enough. We need an active promoter. We need matchmaking that makes sense. And we need fucking promotion. How do you build a bigger promotion? Promote. That's all you gotta fucking do. But because there's nobody left, they don't have to, or at least they don't think they have to. But I've been rambling on here for nearly 30 minutes. I'm just fed up. I wanted to throw all of these stories into one and kind of just rant about this and really look at it. If I'm the only one here with this sentiment that major shit needs to change. We need a promoter that wants to be here. We need the big fights that boxing is now getting. But let me know, what do you think about what's going on in the UFC right now? What do you think about Volkanovski having to rematch against Yair Rodriguez on a one-fight win streak after being finished twice? What do you think about everyone being snubbed? Even though that didn't surprise me. And most importantly, where do you think the UFC is at right now? And how will it affect the upcoming TV rights deal? I'm interested to hear what you have to say down below. Thanks for watching. Later.